let's tell you that Malik Ado Ibrahim has emerged as the YPP presidential candidate. YPP presidential primary held today in Abuja, where Mr. Malik Ado Ibrahim has emerged as the flag bearer. Mr. Malik Ado Ibrahim joins us live here in our studio. Thank you so much for coming tonight on the program.
Thank you.
How does it feel like to be your party's flag bearer?
Well, hasn't sunk in. This is something we've been working towards for a while. We want to certainly make our voices heard, and this is going to be this is just the first step in that.
Is it a young mandate that your party is putting forward?
Well, if you look at what's going on in the country today, no matter what we look like, it's definitely a young mandate. The combined age of the two party bearers and APC and PDP is close to 150 years old. We have so many other options, and we have something to say, and we want to say it, and we're going to really try to galvanize the youth into understanding what running a country like Nigeria feels like.
The question is whether or not your party has a structure, because not only have the right candidate, is also having the right political structure. We've seen a lot of nice men and women who have run for president in this country, but what has failed them more often than not is the party structure, political structure.
Yes. That
is highly needed in our climate.
I sometimes look at that and say that is a hyped position. The platforms are there for individuals to come and present themselves to this great country. We've had the same people for the last 30 years, whether in PDP, APC, or going back and forth. They've cross-carpeted. There is nothing fresh, no new ideas, no new solutions. Everything seems to be Groundhog Day. We keep seeing the same thing over and over again. And we're really fed up. The country needs to see fresh blood, fresh ideas, and not just a repackaged just voiceovers of things they've done before, things that they've said, they're going to give us more power, they're going to give us better security, but it's the same people over and over again.
Who is Malik Ado Ibrahim?
Well, as a person, definitely one of, as I like to look at myself in the mirror and say, somebody who is completely a Nigerian, very patriotic. I'm an exposed individual that sees this great country as being underutilized, underexposed, and really a country that's had managers. We're managing resources, we're managing our oil and gas, we're managing our roads. I don't come from that school. I am somebody who believes that we have to have a producer at the lead of this country, somebody who produces things, produces power, produces energy, produces better roads, and produces a future for this country. That's the kind of person I am. And I put my heart and mind into things that I've done internationally. I'm probably better known outside this country than I am in the country. So coming back home and wanting to be a voice of that next generation is very important to me.
How much of Nigeria do you know? That's going to be a big question. You have a lot of international exposure.
Yes.
But how much of Nigeria do you know?
See, the international exposure I have is probably a hereditary problem. In 1930, my grandfather was the first Nigerian monarch to visit the UK. Since then,
And who was that?
I beg your pardon?
You say your grandfather?
My grandfather, the Atta of Igboland, was in the UK, visited with King George V, and exposed him really to what Nigeria was. And if you've got to understand that Lugard was in where I come from, in the Middle Belt, in Lokoja, then Kwara State, but then that central district. That began our journey as a family. In 1960, Abdul Malik Atta, who I'm named after, was the High Commission in the UK and was the signatory on the independence document and lowered the flag. Since then, that same family has an IG, a governor of Kwara State, the developer and I guess the originator of the Nigerian intelligence agency. We've had countless ministers, first minister, a female minister, Judith Atta, ambassadors, super PAMSECs, same family, same lineage. I wasn't not just coming on this political scene as a newcomer. I have generations of experience, and I have a father who's 93 years old and is a sovereign, as a traditional ruler who just had his silver jubilee yesterday, that is very much involved in what goes on in Nigeria. And apart from the politics, we're industrialists. We brought Nestle to this country in 1973. My father was the first person to drill for oil and gas in this country in 1978. We created Wateco after export with the Soviets. We put mining industry on the map. We know what this country is about. We were taught. I'm not a fly-by-night individual. I came here with pedigree. And I want Nigerians to know that when you look at what you're going to see in the next 6 months of this political campaign, look at somebody who's trying to bring out the best of this country. I'm not repackaged. I'm an original item from a family that's a dynasty in this country, and we want to see good things happen for the generations to come.
So, blue blood, solid education background, and a lot of pedigree that you can lay claims to. But politically speaking, how much of a structure do you have? Because you can have the name, the pedigree,
sure.
You can have all of that. It may not sell in the political market.
Okay. So if you look at this political market that everyone's been talking about, look at 2019. 86 million people registered to vote. 28 million people voted. 58 million people on the sidelines. Well, all this noise of APC and PDP, 28 million people voted. At a country of 200 million people, something is fundamentally right. If you have all these structures, why didn't 100 million people vote? The structures are not what people want to see. They want to see people who will drive this country forward. We have a platform, YPP. They have other structures themselves. It is up to me to present my ideas to Nigerians, to young Nigerians, to see the kind of person I am, what I've built, what I'm willing to do, and how much energy. This is a very important part that we have to talk about. In 2023, the president of this country is going to have to roll up his sleeves and do some things that need to be exemplary. We need leadership.
You're from the energy sector?
I'm from the energy sector, from the oil and gas sector, but now I'm probably the leading renewable energy company in the Southern Hemisphere. I build power plants using the sun, using the wind, and I'm very proud. It's a proudly Nigerian product that is globally acclaimed at the moment.
So, I mean, if that is your sector, and that's Nigeria's, perhaps the biggest Nigeria's problem when it comes to setting up a business.
Power. Yes.
Power.
Yes.
And for over 20, I was one of those who were born over 40 years or so, and we're still struggling,
yes,
battling with power.
Yes.
Do you have a solution to that?
I've built a solution. The same problem that you want to fix, I fixed. Now, I'll give you an example. In Adamawa, we have Yola Disco that takes about, I think, 12 megawatts into 4 states, 12 megawatts. I've just put in a plant in Mayobelwa, about 12 kilometers away from the Yola Disco, producing 25 megawatts on one farm using renewable energy, using this endless sunshine. I'm an example to what this country needs. I'm one of the companies that even put its name forward for 100 megawatts of solar. We signed the energy mix with the government, NBET signed, nothing was done. The visionaries are what Nigeria needs. Not just visionaries that will dream big, but action visionaries, those that will build things for this nation and lead by example. If we get the power right, this issue of unemployment is eradicated very quickly because industry can work. You galvanize the people. If you have power, security works. Our military works better. There's a lot of things that we have to do, and that's why I even set up my Reset Nigeria initiative. Fix the basics so that we can get back to work and get back to living.
How soon can we get the power problem in Nigeria fixed?
I tell you, if we have a Marshall Plan for the delivery of a country like Nigeria back on the grid, within 5 years, you would have double the amount of power without having to change the infrastructure, the transmission lines. Because with renewable energy, you can have embedded power. You can put the power where it's needed. You can use storage. This is one of the things that we are very good at. We're the 3rd largest storage company in the world. We build lithium-ion storage. We can harness the sun and deliver it on time. This is Nigerian technology. In fact, in all my products globally, I'm in 18 countries. Proudly Nigerian is what you see on that. And people always ask me, why isn't this happening in your country? And I always say, a prophet is never welcome in his own village. And we have to change that.
Have you approached the government about some of the solutions that you're bringing to bear?
I've had ministers, I've had governors, private sector gets what I'm doing, and private sector is buying into this.
So
private
why
sector
is it difficult for the government to buy into it?
As I said, you need visionaries, and that is what's lacking now. We can have all the wonderful words and billionaires that are running this country, but they are not down understanding what the young man needs, the young lady needs, the importance of creating industry. These are men that have been politicians all their lives. My generation is going out there making things, making a name for itself. You've got companies like Paystack, Flutterwave, Nigus, Big Energy, doing things globally. But when you come home to explain, well, listen, the red tape is enough to suffocate you. So,
are you bothered about what could be, what has stopped many businesses, many initiatives from working? I mean, like you described, they worked in other climes, but they come into Nigeria, they fail to work. There are phenomena and issues that have stopped these interests from working in Nigeria, that made Nigeria an impossible or an infertile ground for these things to thrive. What have you discovered about this climate that makes things difficult?
Only one word: leadership, or lack of it, I should say. If you don't know what's behind that door, you'll never understand it. We're used to turbines making power. To tell you a piece of glass can create that same amount of power seems like juju as far as people are concerned. Well, we're making juju work if that's what they think. But the enabling environment needs to come from somebody who has done this. I was the Undersecretary for Renewable Energy at the United Nations for IREO. I was the first. I developed that program and I ran renewable energy for 154 countries. That's the kind of person that's coming into this race. I don't sit there thinking it's impossible. I think impossible is possible.
Is it a risk for you to come into the race? Considering what you have done and what you're doing for yourself privately?
What's the risk? Exposing myself to my country?
There are a lot of people who say, as soon as you put yourself in the public for politics, generally. In fact, there was a time that I personally said to people that do not describe politics as dirty, because politics is what drives governance. Without politics, you won't have governance. So in the real sense of it, a lot of people have described politics here in this climate as dirty. And people think that it's murky. When you get into it, it stains you. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why I'm asking, is it much of a risk for you that you're willing to take up?
As I explained about my antecedents, my family has served Nigeria, and I am the latest in that generation that wants to serve. I don't believe that if people like myself keep walking away and walking back on the idea of serving one's country, we will get any further. We will still be stuck in this quagmire of same thing, different day. It just has to change. And the injection of new blood, new political ideas, new directions, new technology, a new blood. It doesn't come by you bringing an old guard and putting it, and they say if you put lipstick on a pig and dress it up, it's still a pig. You cannot change that. Nigeria needs a complete, overused word, a paradigm shift. We need to move this country in a completely different direction. We're listing, we need energy, we need a young leader, and we need to push that in a very positive direction.
And you are the person.
I believe if Nigeria doesn't choose somebody like me, we have a problem. I believe I'm one of those people who can do it. And I think we need this young cadre of politicians need to show the best of what Nigeria is. I'm not under any illusion that this is going to be easy, but the trip of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
If you're coming from this generation or from these thinking of doing things differently, there is a certain way that Nigeria politics has been played. Are you playing it in the same manner? Because if you're going to play with the heavyweight, the mainstream politicians, you are somewhat an outsider to the race. So how differently do you want to play this game? Are you willing to play it exactly the way they've been playing it?
If I play the game the same way they're playing it, I'll lose this game. They are seasoned and weathered in this game. There are a multitude of ways to skin a cat. I think those that have come to challenge this system that are young, people like Bukola Saraki, have probably gone in there with fantastic ideas and they've been frustrated. You either join them or get cast aside. I have no reason to want to join a club that is not taking this country forward. And I believe that the young Nigerians, that 58 million voters that probably looked at this thing and said, oh no, same old, are going to have to look at somebody fresh and fresh ideas and new developments. I don't think I need to go play dirty with anybody. I think they have the money.
I'm asking precisely, how do you hope to play differently? I mean, if you want to beat them, then you must have a better and a smarter way of beating them.
Well, the formula has always been the same. Let's stick up the billboards, let's get out there, let's throw money around. There are 200 million mobile phone devices in this country. I dare you to be able to pick any of these politicians to go on TikTok or Instagram and be relevant to those hundreds of millions of Nigerians who want to see something that touches them in the heart. I built my own OTT channel. I had to shut it down after the NSAS issue because the government didn't allow us to grow. But we grew to 1.9 million subscribers on a mobile phone device that gave you what Nigeria is begging for. There are ways around this. We know how the system is not being used. Because if you put, Jurassic politician in a modern society like we have right now, you can run circles around them, and we intend to do that.
You try to ride on the backs of the young population and the strength they have. They have over 60% of the voting population in Nigeria. You realize that?
Absolutely. And that synergy is what I'm counting on. Because if you cannot relate to them, if you cannot give them any kind of
Is Nigeria ready for the kind of game you want to play?
I had the pleasure of watching two politicians do what I didn't want to do, but I'm finding myself do. I was in California and watched Obama emerge in a situation that was terrible. I had some influence in that, and I saw firsthand what can be done. I watched a man that I knew from Nigeria become the president of France. I watched what can be done. We all have a heart. Touching those heartstrings, being emotive, winning those hearts and minds of people is the key to changing the system.
Abdulmalik Ado Ibrahim, the YPP presidential candidate, I wish you the very best. It's a marathon. The race to get into 2023 takes about 8 months of campaign, and I wish you the very best. You will need a lot of breath. Save them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Sam.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Wakimale. Bye for now.